Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. Finally the time has come when we will have our discussion on the yearly predictions for the upcoming year of 2022 for all the Sagittarius Ascendant natives. So friends, before we will start our discussion, it's my humble request that I have also uploaded a video on the yearly predictions from the basis of numerology as well. So if you haven't watched that video, it's already uploaded on my channel. You can watch that video as well. That is definitely going to give you this idea regarding the flow of the energies influencing us on a collective level next year. And friends, before we will start our discussion customized to your ascendant, we are first going to pray to Lord Ganesha, who represents good beginnings, auspiciousness, good omens, and who preside over all this knowledge of mystic sciences. So Om Vakratund Mahakay Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuruma Deva Sarvkareshu Sarvada. O Lord Ganesha, who has got a huge body, who has got a curved elephant trunk, and who has got a brilliance of the billions of suns, please remove all the obstacles from my endeavors in this upcoming year of 2022. So friends, first what we will do is that I'm going to first share the kind of divination, the kind of prophecy which I have received from tarot, which is definitely going to be flavorizing the whole next year of yours in the form of the theme. Or you could also look at it in this way, that what kind of approach, what kind of attitude the divine or the divinity is asking you to follow next year. So friends, the card which I received, the major arcana card for you guys, came out to be the card of the Hanged Man. So friends, this is a very insightful, highly spiritual card. This card in itself tells about that this year could be a year where new realization, new wisdom, new insight is going to dawn upon you. The another way of looking at this card is that friends, you have to do a proper contemplation that what all are the habits, patterns, association with people which is actually creating hindrance in your growth, in your development in this life. Like all those habits which needs to be discarded, all those people which needs to be discarded, all that mental blockage which is actually creating hindrance in your growth, which needs to be get rid of. This is the year where these kind of opportunities, these kind of circumstances are definitely going to erupt in your life. Another way, friends, of looking at this card is that just because this card has got a lot of divine intervention involved as well. So whenever this card comes in a tarot reading, it doesn't tell about that you are going to have a free will or a freehold. This card just tells about you are actually going to be working in tandem, in cooperation, in sync with the divinity. So it becomes very important, friends, that whenever you will be struck next year in any sort of difficulty, complicated situation, you are in life's crossroad. So try to go inward and try to understand the kind of signs, the kind of omens which universe is giving it to you, because trust me, going inward can actually guide you for your good this year. I would still say, friends, even after listening to all of that, you individually also do a research on this card if you are not familiar with the tarot cards, because this card has got a lot of answers, lot of revelations to give it to you, because this card has come as a part of the theme for next year for all of you guys. So okay friends, now we will start our discussion. So first we will try to look at that how the slow moving planets are going to be impacting or influencing your next year. So friends, definitely we will first start with the transit of the Rahu and Ketu next year. So friends, next year Rahu in the month of during the end of the April and the beginning of the May, Rahu will shift from your 6th house and it is going to enter the 5th house, and Ketu is going to come out of your 12th house and it is going to enter your 11th house. So now friends, this shift in the axis of Rahu and Ketu becomes very important, because you know this thing that the placement of Rahu in the 5th house. We will first start with the Rahu's placement. So friends, the major impact or influence of Rahu always touches us on our psychological, on our mental, and on our emotional plane. And as you know that fifth house has a lot to do with the way you think, the way your mind function, process the information. So because of which, friends, this placement can be seen as blessing in disguise for all those people in whose case working and dealing in any sort of stock market, trading, speculation, working in the fields of art, creativity, performing arts, it's straight away getting qualified. Trust me on this thing, friends. Whenever we talk about anything to do with original work, innovative work, completely out of the box, higher abstract thinking, all of those prospects are also associated with Rahu as well. So definitely, friends, with this transit of Rahu in your fifth house, you will be open towards embracing different culture, different opinions, different way of execution and executing your lifestyle and everything. So the transit of Rahu in the fifth house can be seen as good in this regard. The only concern is that Rahu also creates confusion and the situation of little bit illusion in the house where it transit. So just because, friends, fifth house also represents your relationship with your progeny, with your children. So in that area, you have to remain little bit cautious and you have to keep the channel of communication always very transparent, that you should not be put in a situation where the channel of communication or your understanding and your connection with your children is not very clear. The second thing is that, friends, regarding the perspective of Ketu, so I would say in this specific area of life, the Sagittarius Ascendant native might have faced little bit of the blow in this regard, that because Sagittarius Ascendant is all about the original ninth house energy, which is all about faith, optimism, belief in higher powers, divine intervention. So Ketu's placement in the 12th house so far was a very good sign for any sort of spiritual progress. Now just because, friends, Ketu has now entered a materialistic house. Now with that said, trust me, I have seen so many charts of celebrities and all of those people who received sudden, stupendous, very magnanimous fame. So Ketu also holds the power of giving you the extreme beneficial results of the 11th house in one strike. The only concern is that the way Ketu function, there is always a sense of and a degree of perfection which is involved over there, and the energy is more of spiritual and is more inclined towards your own soul progress, which if your spiritual austerities, your way and your outlook towards life is not very insightful, you might not be able to understand that why these certain circumstances or events are happening in my life, why suddenly I have been sidelined from all of my friends, why suddenly I started working in specific or different completely different area of life. So Ketu's presence in the 11th house can create all those kind of circumstances, but I would still say this thing, that for any sort of highest of your goals or your wish fulfillment, Ketu's placement in the 11th house is still a very positive energy. And yes, for any of your goals, any of your wishes, degree of perfection needs to be inculcated. Moving ahead, friends, now this year, friends, Jupiter is going to enter your 4th house. So now it is a very good sign, because in your case, friends, Jupiter is your ascendant lord as well, and from the month of May onwards, once Jupiter is going to enter your 4th house, it can be seen as a very good time period where like when we talk about any of the concerns of emotional fulfillment, doing all those things which is going to bring domestic happiness, grace in your life, giving you security, giving you stability in the life, bringing that structure in your life, all sort of auspicious lifetime happy events in the life, in your home life, in your domestic life can be foreseen with this transit of Jupiter in your 4th house. Friends, a good part over here is that our inner core is driven by the state of the 4th house. So definitely deep inside you will be very positive, very driven towards doing righteous deeds and interest in spirituality, religious austerities. So that is how Jupiter is going to function after moving your 4th house. So for any of the concerns of laying foundation to something new, buying your home, all these things, renovation in the home, all these energies are going to work for your good, for your betterment. And even friends, from November 20th of 2021 and till the time Jupiter is going to be in your third house, when in the November 2021 when Jupiter will enter the Aquarius sign, I mean to say, so that is also going to be a time that the first quarter of the 2022 of yours will definitely begin with lot of opportunities in whichever area of life you are working. You are a self-employed person, you are an entrepreneur, so you might be introduced to lot many opportunities as well. People in your vicinity, your friend circle, your siblings might also come to your aid for your help. And lastly, and the most important planet, which is going to be Saturn. So friends, Saturn, this whole year of 2021, Saturn somehow remained in the Shravan Nakshatra only. But now friends, when we talk about Saturn's movement in the Dhanishta Nakshatra, because next year after the month of February, like from March onwards, Saturn is going to be till the end of the next year is going to be transiting in the Dhanishta Nakshatra. Now Dhanishta is all about exuberance, it's all about doing things in a larger than life format. And just because Dhanishta is a nakshatra which is being ruled by the Vasus, and in terms of the planetary ownership, it is being ruled by the planet Mars. So I would say friends, in your home life, in your important financial decision, this movement of Saturn in your second house can be seen as a very good sign. Now friends, try to understand this thing, that whether you are a spiritually driven person, whether you are a very materially driven person, you are driven by your desires, your goals and everything, second house plays a very pivotal role in all of those scenarios, situation in all of our life, because second house tells about your deeply valued virtues. When we talk about your values, your principles, your virtues, all those are being represented by the second house. And friends, try to understand this thing, that whenever we talk about the Saturn's transit to any specific area of your life, whichsoever area of your life Saturn touches, it takes your test. It makes you strong and more formidable in that area of life. So what I'm trying to say over here is that you keep on preaching this thing, that for me, my values, my principle is of the utmost importance. You might be tested over there. Life might put you in those circumstances where you have to compromise and you have to bring your extreme of your principles to a degree of moderation where your overall growth and prosperity is not getting hindered because of your stern belief, your stern values. So that is something friends which I am trying to tell you over here. Now this thing is getting applied to your values, to your principles, and the same thing is getting applied to your financial state as well. So trust me, this movement of Saturn from the Shravan to the Dhanishta Nakshatra next year could be seen as this, in this regard, that Saturn is definitely going to give you and make your financial state more stable. So for all those people who think that they are just hanging they are still stuck in a rut, their financial state is not seeing any revamp, no growth, no progress is happening at their financial front. So trust me, with this Saturn's involvement and its influence in your second house, it can actually encourage you, it can open up some new door of opportunities which might be financial in nature. Some people might think about taking some new training, acquiring some new skill. So all of those things can materialize. So important over here is that friends, the transit of Saturn in the second house is a very sensitive phase. During that time when Saturn is transiting your second house, you should learn how to respect and value the money in the life. Trust me, if you are being very casual, if your attitude towards finances is very extravagant or very reckless or careless, the Saturn's transit in the second house can create very extreme miseries and difficulties, whether now or whether in future. So at the time when Saturn is transiting your second house, in the transit you have to remain very cautious in your financial management. And this whole year, one thing which I can say with confidence is that your financial decision, your financial goals are definitely going to be driven by the objective of bringing that value of the finances. That financial necessity is definitely going to be a driving factor in all of your financial important decision. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say over here. Now friends, the beauty of the Saturn's transit in the second house can be looked at in this regard as well, that it might also give you this insight that all of those skill or all of the area of life where you are working hard, how much it has benefited you in long term or in the past. Because try to understand this thing, that third house in our astrological chart is a house of your skill, and the second house is 12 from the third house. So that is also giving us this insight that whichever area of life you are working, whatever your skill is, whatever your strength area is, has it actually benefited you financially or not? Do you need to discard your old pattern, your old style of functioning? You need to revamp it with some new skill, some new apprenticeship, new certification. So all of these things we get to know because of the transit of Saturn in your second house. And briefly, friends, in the months of May, June, July, when Saturn is going to come out of your second house and briefly it is going to be staying in your third house, that is definitely going to be a time when Saturn can introduce you. The month of May, June and July is very important, when the transit of Saturn can actually introduce you to some new skill, new way of handling or managing your financial dealings. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of the brief overview of how the slow moving planets are going to be influencing you next whole year. Now friends, we will move our discussion to the next section, and now we will try to look at all the 12 houses of your astrological chart, and we will try to understand that how specifically the planetary vibrations are going to be influencing you next year in those areas of life. So friends, beginning with your first house. So friends, my first house assessment is completely driven by the divination, by the kind of prophecy which we received from tarot. So regarding the areas of your first house, which definitely tells about your overall growth, your progress, your public image, your self projection. So definitely from the astrological perspective, your ascendant lord is going to be strengthened in its own house from the month of May onwards. So because of which, friends, one thing which can be said with confidence is that you will do what your heart craves for this year. And universe, the most important and the beauty of this year's prediction and assessment for you guys is that universe and divinity, nature and omens will definitely guide you. Remain intuitive enough to understand and read those signs. Now moving ahead, friends, now if you want to understand the prospects of your second house. So definitely, friends, Saturn is going to be strengthened in your second house. It is just going to be briefly coming out of your second house and staying in the third house. It will again come back to your second house. So the matters of your finances are definitely on the pedestal. The spotlight is over there. So I would say, friends, this is actually a time when you should not think from the perspective of luxury or abundance. This is the time when you should work on your deep foundation, whatsoever your financial source of income is, how strengthened it is, how formidable it is, how resilient it is. So this is the time when you will get an opportunity to work in all those areas of life. I've said this thing so many times that whenever we talk about accomplishing or achieving something big, out of all the 9 planets in astrology, it is only the Saturn which hold this power, this potential to grant you that. So I would say, friends, like, I will not be surprised that, for example, you have been for long working hard and you are just consulting people, or you're operating your business on a very small scale. So try to keep on working hard, researching, exploring the options, how you can expand it. And friends, one thing which I want to say right over here is that try to remain very intuitive and very observant the kind of development which will take place in the months of May, June and July in your life, specifically pertaining to your finances, your profession, your career, your business, in whichever area of life you're working hard. Because friends, once finally Saturn, when it will, in the year of 2023, when it will move to the Aquarius sign, the whole functioning, growth, development and progress is going to happen in those similar lines only. So remaining observant in these 3 months can actually give you insight that in which specific area of life Saturn wants you to work hard. And yes, friends, I would say this is the year where financial growth, stability, most importantly, stability is going to come in your life. Moving ahead, friends, regarding the matters of your 3rd house. So friends, 3rd house is definitely a very important house. This is a house which tells about your skills, your valor, your mental aptitude and everything. So now friends, what is going to be happening over here is that both of your 2nd house and 3rd house is being ruled by the planet Saturn. So I would say, friends, if you have been working hard, good results can be obtained. I would also say this thing, friends, that the 2nd house lord is strengthened in its own house. So because of which I would say that it is a very good time to invest on your skill. It is a very good time to expand your horizon in the times of the skills, certification, knowledge, expertise you hold. But I would still say that try to remain bit penny pinching, bit stingy, even in putting your money in gaining those knowledge. So unless and until that is not the last option, try to avoid putting your money on that. Because friends, the 3rd house lord is in the 2nd house. It is just going to burn a hole in your pocket unless and until you're not very sure that investing yourself for your career or growth perspective in this very expensive course, in this very expensive certification, I'm not getting that 100% guarantee that I will be able to reap the best out of the money which I'm going to invest in this course. So I would say refrain from investing your money in any risky uncertainty venture. So my only advice to all of you guys is that the matters of finances needs to be given very utmost care during this year. And regarding the 3rd house related matters, when we talk about your courage, your valor, your drive, your degree and sense of motivation, so definitely friends, everything is going to be deeply rooted and driven from the 2nd house only. So I'm actually seeing you very much restrained, very much in control, in command. I'm not seeing you going haywire regarding any of your actions in this society. Moving ahead, friends, now regarding the matters of your 4th house. So friends, Jupiter is going to enter your fourth house in the month of May. So that is definitely going to bring that sort of, domestic happiness and, divine intervention, your intuitive faculties guiding you, feeling very driven, feeling very motivated. So from all of those regards, this presence and placement of Jupiter in your fourth house is actually going to bloom all the prospects of your fourth house next year. And friends, another way of looking at the matters of fourth house is that whenever we talk about anything to do with fourth house, it has to do with the prospects of your emotional fulfillment. So even from all of those perspective, this Jupiter and Jupiter's transit, which is your ascendant lord as well, getting strengthened in your fourth house is actually going to keep you interested in the game of life. So from all of those perspective, the fourth house related matters seems to be looking protected this whole year for you guys. Moving ahead friends, regarding the matters of your fifth house. So friends, I have already explained this thing that in terms of your dealing with your children, with the matters of progeny, there you have to remain little bit contemplative and intuitive enough. Try not to come very quickly to any sort of conclusion. Try not to be very forceful. Try not to be very judgmental. Try to deal with the matters of fifth house with proper wisdom, with proper love and care. And the second thing is that friends, definitely all the fifth house related matters are going to bloom for all those people who are specifically connected in the fields of art, creativity, anything to do with working on your mental faculties, your mental aptitude. You are in the fields of IT, you are a software developer, so all those people are definitely going to get benefited. Friends, the only concern over here is that whenever we talk about the prospects of fifth house, it has also, apart from the devotional aspect, fifth house also has to do with all the pleasures of the life as well. And as you know that Rahu is the demon's head, so I would say that if in your case smoking, drinking, excessive partying, if that is getting qualified, so try to keep and bring everything down to a moderation. So that is something which I want to say with the transit of Rahu in your fifth house. But I will again summarize this thing that this year the luck in speculation can actually help you. Moving ahead friends, now regarding the matters of your sixth house. So I would say friends, just because whenever Rahu is somehow transiting these fifth house, somehow our intuitive faculties or our mental aptitude or our decision making sometimes become little bit biased or little bit manipulative. So if you actually want to avoid the state of conflicts which sixth house represents, so I would say that try to avoid that version or that side of Rahu. And specifically friends, just because in the month of January, when Mars is going to be transiting in the Scorpio sign, making your 12th house very empowered, and in the month of July and August, when Mars is going to be transiting in the Aries sign, so Mars is going to be conjunct with Rahu. Mars will be empowered and Rahu is going to fuel up the energies and the passion and the desires of Mars as well. So I would say friends, in the months of January, in the months of July and August, try not to be very reckless, very impulsive in any of the matters while dealing with any conflicting situation, dealing with your juniors, dealing with your subordinates. So keep your daily work environment very contemplative and bit calm in your dealing with all those people in the months of, specifically the months of January and July and August. Moving ahead friends, regarding the matters of your seventh house. So definitely friends, this year the prospects of marriage can be seen as strong. I've already said this thing that whenever we talk about the transit of Saturn in your second house, which has something to do with your values, with giving you stability, so whether it's the second house, whether it's the fourth house, so because of which some life time event in the form of marriage can materialize for all the qualifying bachelors or qualifying singles this year. The second thing is that friends, I want to say over here is that the yoga, because whenever we talk about anything to do with marriage, so definitely Jupiter kind of blesses the bond of marriage. Venus is a significator of love, relationship, but most importantly, specific to your ascendant, your 7th house lord is going to have a final say that when those situation or circumstances are going to trigger. So I would say friends, in the months of July and in the months of September and October, when your 7th house lord Mercury is going to be in a strengthened state, that is going to be a time when either your commercial activities, your public image, or the prospects of running into a prospective match is going to be very strong in these few months. Moving ahead friends, now regarding the matters of your 8th house. So definitely friends, for all the Sagittarius Ascendant natives, somehow their 8th house of challenges, of scandals, uncertainty is always very fragile because of the presence of Moon's Cancer sign over here. But just because friends, this whole year Saturn is going to be aspecting your 8th house from the second house where it is going to be transiting. So I'm not seeing you guys vulnerable in any regards when we talk about the matters of the any sort of unpredictable, unforeseen situation which can loosen up your grip on the life. So I would say because of Jupiter's 5th aspect, because of Saturn's 7th aspect, I'm not seeing you losing out. I'm actually looking at you completely in control, in command of your life next whole year. I'm also kind of seeing you guys protected from any sort of scandalous energy which 8th house might create. And with that said friends, the combined aspect of Jupiter and Saturn in your 8th house in the next whole year is actually going to be creating some very good energy for any sort of spiritual and religious austerities. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to know the prospects of your 9th house. So friends, definitely 9th house is a very important house. This is the house of your luck, of your fortune, of your long distance travels. So I would say friends, your 9th house, I mean to say, which is being ruled by the planet Sun. So friends, Sun is definitely going to be strengthened in certain months. So for example, Sun is going to be strong in the months of the December end and the January, beginning of the January, when it is going to be transiting in your first house. So I would say friends, you will start your new year where the sunshine will be actually shining on you. Your Mars is going to be strengthened in your 12th house, and because of a strengthened Saturn in your second house as well. So one thing which I want to say over here is that keep your ego to be humble. You will definitely be in an empowered situation. You will start your new year with being in a very empowered state. Imagine friends, both your 12th house, your first house and your second house is going to be in a very empowered state. So that in itself means that some people in whose case getting any promotion, getting any political seat, sudden fame, sudden recognition, so all of those prospects can materialize if that is getting qualified in your case. The only concern over here is that a true gem of a person is determined by how this native handles any power, any opportunity, how your conduct is going to be in the state of being in power, being in command. So I would say, do not lose out your ego, keep your ego to be a bit humbled and balanced. And I would say, whether the prospects of luck or in any so way you will start your new year with sunshine to be shining right over there in your first house on your face. The second thing is that friends, in the months of April and May, so the mid of the April till the mid of the May, when sun is going to be exalted in your fifth house. So friends, this time it is bit different because sun is going to be exalted but conjunct with Rahu. So it all comes down to the kind of dasha which you will be going in the months of April and May. So let's say for example, if you are an actor, you are a creative person, even if you are a student and your dashas are going to be very promising, very fortunate during that time, you are running the Antardasha of an exalted planet, you are running the Mahadasha of a ninth house lord which is also dignified, and your all the yogas in your chart is also well protected. So I would say friends, with this transit of your ninth house lord being exalted conjunct with Rahu in the fifth house can actually give you some sort of mass fame, some sort of a very big lifetime opportunity as well. But let's say for example, Rahu, which is a significator of mischievousness, which is a significator of illusion and chaos, if your dasha is going to be running a bit troublesome and the yogas in your chart is also very troubled, and because of the influence of Rahu and Ketu which are also afflicted in your chart, so this time period you have to remain very cautious, you have to remain very watchful, you have to follow all the remedies, otherwise sudden fall, some sort of allegation, some sort of confusion, allegation, so all those things can also happen. So you have to remain very cautious, specifically when your ninth house lord is going to be conjunct with Rahu in the fifth house in the months of the mid of the April and mid of the May. And lastly friends, the months of August and September is also going to be very promising, very positive, when your ninth house lord is going to be in a strengthened state. So this is going to be a time when some sort of foreign travel, long distance travel can happen, and in the months of August and September the prospects of luck is definitely going to support you, help you in actually progressing in any aspiration of yours. Moving ahead friends, now if you want to know the prospects of your 10th house. So friends, as you know this thing that this year in the month of May, once Jupiter is going to enter your 4th house. So from the 4th house it is going to be looking at your 10th house as well. So my recommendation, my advice to all the Sagittarius Ascendant for this upcoming year is that whatever you will be doing next year, do it with your 100% devotion. Like if you are going to put your heart and soul in any undertaking, in any association, trust me, wonderful and miraculous results can manifest, can happen. So it all comes down to how much drive, how much energy you are putting in. I would say friends, this year some sort of lifetime like a goal or some sort of promotion, setting up your own business, some new projects. So all those things, energy of all those things are very positive. Because of the combined influence of all the planets influencing your 10th house. And not only that friends, specifically the months of July, September and October, when both your 7th house lord and 10th house lord is going to be in a strengthened state, so some good awards, recognition, enhancement of your public image, and some new role, new opportunities at your professional front can manifest. Moving ahead friends, now regarding the matters of your 11th house. So I would say friends, because of the influence of not only Ketu in your 11th house, but also Saturn is also going to be aspecting your 11th house. And friends, try to understand this thing that whenever we talk about Saturn's 10th aspect, it has everything to do with giving you something substantial. So it all comes down to how much dedicated and detached you are from the world in order to be your equation and your sense of being devoted on your path, your sense of devotion towards your ultimate goals. So I would say friends, hard work, devotion, dedication is definitely going to give and reap results. This is not the time to expand your circle of influence. I would say this is rather the energy to actually bring it and tone it down to the level of all those people who are actually your well-wisher, all those people with whom you share that kind of vibes that they play a role of your development and your growth in your any of your aspiration. I would say, friends, this is not an exaggeration. Open up your phone and see the last 3 numbers or last 3 people with whom you have either talked or you have shared your message, and try to do this introspection, that what role they are actually playing in your life, their influence, their engagement, your activities, your association with them. Is it actually helping you to grow, become a better person, or they are actually putting you down? So it all comes down to bringing that sense of putting that filter in your public social engagements and actually toning it down to the level of perfection. So I would say, friends, for all of those aspects, if you are a very devoted, a very perfectionist, very focused person, you know what direction to give to your energies. So I would say good results can be anticipated. And I've said this thing, friends, at the beginning only. If in your case your 11th house is in an empowered state, you are also running the dasha of very planets of growth and progress and development. So 11th house Ketu also hold this power to give some sudden magnanimous opportunity or result as well, which is not going to be good for your material progress, but also it is going to be very divine ordained or good for your spiritual development as well. And lastly, friends, regarding the matters of your 12th house for the next whole year. So friends, as you know this thing, that in your case, like your Mars has got the rulership of your 12th house, and it has also got the rulership of your 5th house as well. So Mars becomes a very important planet, very auspicious planet for all the Sagittarius Ascendant native, because it has got the rulership of your one of the trine house. So I would say, friends, this year what is going to be happening over here is that Mars is going to be taking a curve from your 12th house and reaching till your 6th house, or briefly touching your 7th house. So I would say, friends, like the Mars's transit in the first half of the chart is all about initiating and bringing that stability. Whenever we talk about the prospects of expansion, prospects of consolidation, that is the second half of the chart. The first half of the chart just represents laying foundation. So I would say, friends, you will start your new year of 2022 with your Mars to be in a strengthened state in your 12th house, and the way it is going to progress, like in the month of March, when it is going to get exalted, conjunct with Saturn in your 3rd house, and the way it is going to progress, I would say, friends, this is actually going to be a time when divine guidance is actually going to help you. And I would say the month of March, when your 5th house and the 12th house Lord is going to be exalted, is going to be a time period of some important financial decision. And whatsoever you are going to be doing, I'm sure you will be in a state that you will be able to do a proper fair analysis, that how much exactly you are investing, how much in future you will be gaining because of your those engagement. And friends, in the month of July and August, when your 12th house Lord is going to be strongly conjunct with Rahu in the 5th house. So I would say, friends, if in your case anything to do or pertaining with the 12th house, when we talk about any sort of foreign settlement, any sort of a foreign trade, prospects of travel, spiritual retreat, pilgrimage, so all those prospects are actually going to shoot up at the time when your 12th house Lord is going to be conjunct with Rahu in the 5th house. I would also say, friends, that whenever we talk about the prospects of the 5th house also has to do with the yoga, with the mantra siddhi as well. So I would say that this year, specifically the worship of Lord Shiva, worship of Lord Kal Bhairav can actually bring some very wonderful results. and along with the worship of Lord Hanuman for all the Sagittarius Ascendant natives. So this is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of the yearly predictions for all the Sagittarius Ascendant native. I'm going to end this video on the same note with which I started this video, that I again pray to Lord Ganesha, that Lord Ganesha's grace shall shine upon you, all of your wishes shall come true, your financial state should progress, should grow, should bloom this year. With your work, with your influence, you will be able to touch the lives of so many people as well. And with that, friends, I'm going to complete this video. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Dhanyavad.